Okay, I think we should get started. I see a few registration today, but it was on the last minute, so I'll see. I'll try to send them also. Okay, so before I begin, have you guys practiced whatever things are there in the slides or whatever we have gone through? Did someone practiced or got some issues or error or any doubts? That doubts anyway, questions we'll discuss at the end if you have, but just give me yes or no. Did anyone tried what we discussed yesterday? Okay, so then let's continue. Let me present my screen. Yeah, okay, I got response. Thanks. Somebody tried. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. Can anyone confirm? Okay, yes, you can see. Okay, nice. Two, three responses. Good. Thank you. Let's try. Okay, here quick recap of yesterday. So yesterday we learned about if, while, control statements, right? And we also gone through again indexing list, all those kind of things. There was a question yesterday from one of the participant that what is the difference between tuple and list? That also we are going to cover. Whatever slides we have today, that anyway will cover the difference between tuple and list. So for those who haven't heard the tuple, we for them also there is a from the scratch we will do the tuple. Now, quick recap of yesterday. When we talk about control statement is nothing but a one line or a set of lines which decide that the next code has to be performed or not, right? It validates that condition using expression. While validating, it required a certain operators to validate. How do we compare A to B, right? So we need some certain operators like equal to, not equal to, something like that. So we have seen operators also yesterday, many different operators which are available in the slides. Then we have seen list and using while loop, that also we tried. And we have seen using while loop, when we do this, we were iterating that particular expression, and uh, once it is done, it's going to the else part. That also we have seen. Okay. And when we were logging out, we were seeing how to use for loop, which we are going to do a practical today. So let me bring down this. So now we know this is how if looks like. You should have, whenever you write a if, remember you end this with colon. After you end this with column, you have to give an empty space, and then whatever number of lines you want to refer for that particular if, you can refer it here. That is nothing but becomes a block on a sub child or child for that particular parent. When we do colon and we left some space and then write something. Okay. Yeah. So this is how, if you forgot, this is how it validate and checks. If it is true, then it's going to perform the next line actions. Otherwise, it will not. Okay, it will go to the else part. Okay, yeah. So okay, so else if we have seen when we have multiple checks and we don't need compiler to go and validate every time when we have some condition. So out of three, if one is true, we have to come out of that particular block, come out of that particular set of codes, because it's a waste of time once we got the answers. If I'll ask three questions, if one of the answers you gave it correct, that's it. Then you won the prize and you come out. Please go on mute. Thank you. Yeah. And the while statement, the only difference between while and if, it's repetitively. It iterates itself until the condition is true. And I said yesterday, when we do a while loop, we have to plan things like when we are going to end this. What is how do we increment that? How do we utilize that particular iteration? What is the purpose here, right? Why we are iterating that? Maybe we are looping through something and we want to execute 10 times, 5 times. After the 10 times, we want to stop it. So we have to keep those things in our mind and we have to take action. Okay. Now, this is how while looks like. Okay. So it iterates until the condition is true. You can see this arrow is not connecting. This is going again and again. It checks the statement is true or not. Okay, fine. So this we covered yesterday, I think, right? So when you give something, this we covered yesterday, right? This is a small example. What we are doing here, current plus equal to 1. We are adding 1 into the existing variable value. Okay, this I explained it. This is a short version of writing current equal to current plus 1, right? We did it using total example or something, right? Okay, so these are the theoretical difference. If you want to go ahead or explain to someone or get better understanding, go to this theoretical explanations in more detail. Okay, now loops. Yeah, so here I was going through the slides at the end. It simply means again another loops which is not conditional based, right? We have seen while is a conditional based. It checks the expression, a set of line, a one line, it validate until it's true, it repeats, right? But sometimes we just need something to repeat without a condition. But the another thing is we need something. Let's say now we know list, right? Those who doesn't know, let me give them an example. If you forgot or something, right? Let me show you this. Suppose this is our list. Okay, this is what I'm referring as a list when I say list. Here this you can give anything in this, okay? But whatever this format and this syntax is nothing but a list, right? Okay, so when we need a looping, I need that somebody can read every item for me. Okay, if I have a string, this is my string, suppose. Okay, now I need somebody will read every character for me. Loop through. I want to loop through each and every character. I want to loop through each and every item one at a time. One at a time, right? So these things we need some loop, right? So for loop can give us that. Okay. So first simple meaning of iteratables means which can perform a repeat themselves, right? And on what basis? What on for the string, list, tuple, dictionary. Tuple and dictionary and range you don't know right now. We only covered string and list, right? Okay. So another thing is just now I explained string and list, right? We will talk about dictionaries. We'll talk about tuples a little late today. Dictionary we might not be able to cover today, but let's see. Okay, so this is the for loop is here for us to help us to loop through, to iterate each and every item, each and every character in a given string, each and every item in a given list, right? So this also referred as a for loop. And when we have set a block, it repeatedly given a number of times. It execute. Suppose I have 10 items. So I don't need to say execute 10 times. For loop will take care and execute 10 times. Okay. It not 10 times, it's actually count whatever of list item, whatever string we are giving, it counts the length. Now when I say length, now you guys know how to get a length, right? So when we say length, if I have 5 characters, what will be my length? 5. But what will be my indexing position? 0 to 4, then minus 1, right? So we already understood how indexing works in string, how indexing works in list, and slicing works, right? We also seen slicing, right? So when I'm naming now these technical words, slicing, indexing, mutable, immutable things, Now, whatever I referred with the very base examples in our last three sessions, today is the fourth session. And whatever I explain, I'm only using those names. I'm not saying anything big. So if somebody joins today, please go and watch recordings, which is available on this WhatsApp group, on a G Drive. Recordings and PPTs are available. You can quickly catch up. Okay. So yeah, so let's see this in action. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see this in action. And okay, you. mm, Okay, so let's create day 4. Okay, so I'm going to create our list first, and I'm going to say 1 comma 2 comma 3 as I discussed, right? Okay, and now I'm going to read this one by one. So I just need to say for any variable in list. After that, I have to put colon. The moment I put colon and I hit enter in notebook, it automatically takes care of indentation, a spacing, right? If I won't put a colon and if I'm going to hit enter, you see where my cursor is pointing here. But moment if I put colon and hit enter, it already take care of blocking, right? A set of blocks and space, so that this will be identified and we have to follow certain standards when we do Python coding. Okay. Now I'll just print for you this I. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to do this. Let's see what happens. See, one at a time, one at a time. Okay, every time it's going through and it's printing, right? Same thing we can do using strings, characters, combination, heterogeneous sources. When I say heterogeneous data types, I mean you can assign to different variable types here. And we understood now what is different data types I'm talking about, right? So that we covered on the day 2 or day 1, the data types. Okay, if you forgot, please go and revise your whatever the available data types. And when I say data types, it's not that we define and create them. It's whatever we assign, it takes the type of that particular string and estimate and decide what is the exact data type this particular value holds, right? If I say the name and I put this in the code, they say it's a string. That we already discussed, right? Let's save our time for something new. Mm, Okay, where is our PPT? Yeah. So we can also perform when we do a looping, we can also use many functions, right? Upper, you remember this upper functions is applied on strings, characters, right? Okay. And can we use multiple time this particular variable which we are fetching from this particular iterable objects? Okay, let me explain this again. Now I have a simple variable. This is ABC. Okay. Now, when I say this is my object, is my list, this is a collection, this is a wardrobe, this is it holds multiple item, but still in the same variable value, right? But it's a type of a list. The type is list. Okay. So, but here it's a string, right? So, for a string also, I can do the same. This time I'll choose a different variable so that you will know this I is not mandatory. Whatever I'm writing here, or let me increase the size. So whatever I'm writing here is nothing but I'm trying to point out that particular collection. So it means taking a spoon and picking the first item first from that particular box, and then doing again and again and again. But this is one spoon and this can only hold one item from the collection, right? Right now we have ABC. We have three characters in this. in this particular string, right? So we already discussed how indexing works: 0, 1, 2, 3 spaces. If I want to print every spoon or every iteration item, this is the variable. This is a dynamic variable actually, which generates on fly and fetch the data one by one item by another item, right, from the collection. So this is how it goes. So you see, A, B, C. So for loop works on a string, for loop works on a list items. It also works on tuples. We are going to see soon. Okay, the only difference between tuples and list is that's it. Instead of a square bracket, it takes normal brackets, and that's it. I'll call this tuple, and let's see. See, same result. We will talk about why we use these and what is the difference between list and tuple. So this is the tuple example. Okay, that's the tuple in. And what is this type of comments? This is the inline comments. Okay, so those comments also we discussed in our day one, and these are there in the slides. Okay, going back to the PPT. Okay, now can we use that particular variable to multiple place? Yes, we can. We can use multiple places. We can multiply with something also. You know, definitely. If we can't do a mathematical operation, if we fetch some item from a collection, what is the purpose of fetching that, right? So definitely a mathematical operations, a concatenations, or utilizing the way we want or the customer wants, right? Okay. Now going forward, yeah, the another important concept is range function. Okay, so the Python says, okay, you have a range function. Suppose you want to count from 1 to 50 and 10 to 20 or any range. When I talk about range, there are two set of integer things are given, and we are talking about range between point A to point B, right? Okay, so how it is useful? Suppose we have to iterate from on a particular sequence number to the particular limits. Like let's say just now I said 40 to 60, right? It my choice from where I want to start until how far I want to go. So the range function will help us when we will wherever you will learn in your career or in your upcoming months or year, you will see when somebody is using the Python in visualizing the data. At that time this function is very much important. List is also important, tuple is also important, and these are the common uses used functions when you use with the data. Okay, for now let's understand this. What is range? It's a built-in functions. We know that it's given and written by Python. It's mostly used to iterate a specific number of times over using a for loop, right? So as I just mentioned, we have a range and we want to iterate that particular loop by giving that range. We'll say, yeah, we need from 200 to 300, but our starting point should be 200. The function makes an iterating integer index available to the user. Okay, so this returns a collection, and next time when you fetch it, it's going to give you the next sequence number. Like if I want to count from 10 to 20, if I count two times, the third time is going to give me 30. you know okay, so what is this three parameters? Three parameter in the sense where you want to start, where you want to stop. That's everybody understand. What does this mean? Step. Okay, let's understand this. You won't be using this, but if in case if you have to, the range functions, this is the starting sequence number, this is the end, and step means the difference between each number in the sequence. If you want to jump out, you want to start from 1 to 10, 1 to 100, and you want to your next item should be plus 10, right? You want to just pick 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, but you won't be using less this thing. You will be using only range functions. There is less chance that you will use this, but there is a possible scenario in when we do the data side, right? Okay, let's do some practical. Okay, let's also understand what exactly when we say range and what exactly it understand. uh, okay, let me, this is a good time to ask you guys some questions also. I hope you can see my screen. Let me take some advantage of my this work. I'll say list. Okay, not a problem. This time I don't need list. I'll take user input. Okay. I'll say X. I'll say Y input. Enter a number here. Okay. Now I'm going to commit many errors here. Please see. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay. Now I got the Y. I need one more variable so that I can, I can count it. Okay. We'll also understand different types of variable today. So let's quickly do this. Now just see this. I want to run from 1 to 10. Okay. Now, does the Python, sorry, I didn't write range function, right? Does the Python, sorry, does the Python understand from where this is starting, from where it is ending? Is this the correct understanding of Python? This is our human understanding, right? But does the Python think the same way? Let's see this. Print. Right now, I'm not printing user input. Uh, I'm just printing P. Okay, let's see this. Yeah, okay, I have to see this. It printed till where? Till 10. Why not? So till 9. Why not 10? Because Python says whatever you give, I will consider minus 1. Whatever you give here, if you have to run till the 10, you have to give like this. So it means 1 to 11 means not 11. Before the 11 it will take, like how we understand indexing, how did we do our other examples, right? So if I'll do like this, let's see what we are going to have for the print. So now we are able to print till 10. Now let's mix this, multiply this 2 with this 10 iterative numbers, repetitively sequencing, and then try to get something out of table, right? Let's see. Can we do p multiply y? Now I need your answers. Now you know I will be inserting 2, and in my loop I am getting 1 to 10, right? So I'm going to multiply 2 multiply 1 2, 2 multiply 2 twos are 4, 2 threes are 6, something like that. So what do you think this will give me? When I multiply p and y, definitely is going to give what I just said. So do you think the same, or somebody suggest any correction here? Does it understand that multiplication is happening correct way? Any suggestions on the chat window? Are we good here to go, or any issues with this? Mm, okay, somebody already pinged. Uh, okay, good to go. Okay, now let's see. Now let's see. Okay, let's see. You'll be surprised. Okay, so I'm going to say 5. Okay, or 2. Let me say 2. Sorry. Yeah. See this? Now, can anybody now remember our logic of repeating the string when we multiply with a number? So this is happening, a string multiplying with a number. This is numeric, we know this is a numbers, but how come y becomes a number? Python says, oh, you are taking a user input. I didn't know. What input? Whatever input you take, I will always consider as a string. That's what we should remember. Okay, so to cast that, cast in the sense we have to convert that particular given number into a integer, right? So what I will simply do, I'll simply say int, open bracket, close bracket. Is this syntax is right? Or what else syntax do you think this is right syntax? Come on, yeah, come on, give your answers.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay, okay. Somebody says int, yes, int. Okay, okay, okay. Sorry, I have to go to the program. Okay, so let's try now and let's see. Do we still get some errors or are we good? Two, yeah, this time looks like we are good. And we corrected. And I intentionally did many things so that you will understand the importance of input, the behavior of functions, built-in functions of Python. Okay, and based on that, you will utilize them. Now we understand range, that range can give us, but the limitation and what we have to take care when we use range, this -1 logic. Okay, so I hope you will remember that. And why we took this, right? I didn't use this, right? So we will see that. We will say that in our upcoming example. If this is a normal, you remember this was a normal while yesterday we did, and there we were doing, let me show you. There we were doing total plus equal to 1. You remember this? So that why we were doing this, we have to tell the another counter. We have to set the counter going so that while will become false. But here in for loop, we don't need an incremental count. We don't need some value to be incremented and coming as a false. So we don't need this. Don't need to increment a variable which will false our while condition. This is a for loop and it's able to handle any iteration for from a collection, right? This is also a collection. We have seen using list, we have done using string, and this is from the range. Now you must be thinking, oh, then why every time we have to give? In future, when you read data from a file, when I say file, it's a comma separated files. It's a notepad file which comes with a comma. And let's say there is a huge data. In that time, we will see how all this function we are using against that particular files and in the data frame. We'll see that tomorrow. Okay. Okay, let's proceed further. We have so many things to cover. Yeah. Now we understood loops, and now we have to come out sometimes. Sometimes you have 1,000 values, and in this 1,000 value, you just want to check the username. Okay. Let me give you a scenario. Okay. You have 1,000 names here, and these are the lucky winners. Okay. These are the lucky winners of whatever games or whatever things they played. Okay, now you check your whether you won that or not prize, right? Then you comes and you provide your input name is something. Okay, you check this. Okay, and you want to check that whether my name is there or not. Then what Python will do, Python will write, sorry, we will write the codes, we will write the code, and we will check for that particular I will repeat that particular collection where we have all the names. Just understand logically, okay? Not what I'll do, I'll check if I equal to this input, right? Then what I'll say, then I'll say print yes you are n. Okay, so internally this happens in Python. If not, what we are going to print, we'll say sorry, uh, good luck next time or something, try again next time, something like that we'll print, right? So Python code we will loop through all the string names what we have here, and we'll check your input name, James. If it is yes, it's going to present you yes, you are in. So this will be hidden. Whatever you see from that line, that will be hidden, right? When you check wherever it is, maybe it's in website, maybe it's in a data site, maybe it's in any testing tool as well, you want to validate some values against your some set of string set of result set, right? Then you can perform, this will be seen to users and the output will be here. They won't know what in the background you have written the code, either you will get yes or no. Okay, so that will be user input and output. That's it. In the background, you as a Python developer will write these many things. So sometimes I this now my scenario comes. Now I have 1000 names. Suppose you found this name on the 10th position or 15th position or 100th position. Would you still want to go for another 800? No, right? Nobody would like to go. Once you found that, one, 1 minute. बंद कर ले बेटा अलार्म. Okay, okay, okay. So where we were, I was in a notepad file, right? Okay, so here we were. So I hope I'm not in mute. Let me double check. Yeah, okay. So I was saying, uh, when we found that particular value on 15th, 10th, or 100th positions, definitely I don't want to go another 900. I want to break that out. I want to break out from that sequence, and I want to stop a burden on the for loop. I just want to come out. So in that particular things, we need some breaking statements. Once we found, we should break it. Okay. So can I say, if I found f equal to input print, and then I should break that loop? Yes. Should I do that? Yes. I should do that. The moment I say it's not going to read another items, once it is matched, it is matched. If it is on the 900 position, still we saved another 100 processing, right? So as a Python programmer or developer, you should understand, if you have to come out of a loop, you should know, when you are learning a loop, you should also know how to come out. Otherwise, it will be in continuous looping, and it will hit the performance. So this is one of the example. Okay, the practical is very easy. We will there are three things for breaking out loops: break, continue, and pass. Break in the sense we just seen. Continue in the sense, do not um, do not perform the action which is written inside the for loop. Do not execute the set of code which is written inside the for loop, but continue for the other items. But don't continue for this item. Do not do anything for that particular item in your if class. Okay. And pass means, okay, whether if you find it also fine, you continue this and that also. So it's a neutral way of seeing things. Now let's see in the details. So this is how break works. This is how continue works. If you see the break output here, the moment it reached 4, the number, the moment it reached 4, it did not print 1, 2, 3, and then it breaks out. But if you see the range we have given till 10. When I said 10, 11 minus 1 equal to 10, right? So it should supposed to print 10 times multiply of 2, but now here it has exited on the fourth position. Why? Because we mentioned that the moment it reaches 4, please break. This is how we call break. Then continue says, as I mentioned, continue says, okay, if you found this, do not perform any actions belongs to the for each loop, but continue for other items. Do not continue for this item. Okay. Continue in the sense, continue, when we say use continue word, it refers to continue for other items, not this. If you see 1, 2, 3, after 3 we directly have 5. We missed 4. Why? Because we don't want 4 to be executed, we say continue, don't execute the code. So it from here it take the u-turn and it goes to the 4 or 4 again. If there is a continue, it take the turn and go to the 4 again. It does not execute the set of blocks under for loop. That's the definition. And this is a straightforward example. Please try practicing break, continue, and pass. Pass is again, pass doesn't listen anything. Even it's pass, it means yes, do this also and that also. So it doesn't make any sense to have this. But on that particular if you want to perform some action and then you want to pass that conditional based pass, then only it makes sense. So now there are three things you learn to break out a loop. Okay. Yeah, function, another important section we have, another very important uh, things we have. Okay, let me check some what's the message if somebody is struggling to join or something, anything. No, I think we are good. Okay. Okay, so let's understand Python. So let's understand function. I'm sorry for that. Yes. Okay. So when I say functions, the things comes in your mind. First thing should be print and input, which we already seen as inbuilt functions, right? Okay. So the objective of this particular session and that particular functions, we will be going to cover how to call functions, how to write functions, what are the built-in function, the different types of functions, right? Okay, so these are the theoretical definition. Again, I won't go into this, but to give an idea, it's a set of block putting together into the one word and defining that parameters so that we can utilize the full set of set lines of code, whatever number of lines it is, we can execute without seeing and knowing those particular lines. So grouping few lines together or many lines together into one function name and just use that function name for our purpose. Okay, so there are three types of functions: built-in functions, user defined. Built-in means which is created by Python. User defined means which we are going to create. User, we are the user who are using this. Anonymous means there won't be a function name, but it will still be treated as a function, and we will see how we will use that. That we call anonymous function. We'll see that. Okay. So these are the built-in functions that we don't need to worry. Input, print, you have seen and practiced. User defined function, this is important. Three steps, very simple steps. If you have to create a function, let's say you have to multiply or you have to do an addition of two numbers, you need two values, a and b. A plus b equal to c, right? You need two values. Then this becomes your parameters. You need a function which adds two numbers. It means you need two input parameters. When I say parameter, when we say function takes certain values when we call that. That's what the purpose of function is, right? It can be a different way, but right now understand this way. So function takes a parameter. Parameter is nothing but a value supplied while calling that function. Okay, that's we call parameter. Now return. Return means once you perform and you are done with your calculation, you return that whatever values you want to return. You do your thousands of lines, you do your whatever calculations you want to perform. At the end, whenever you are ready with the result, please return that. And as a user, as a consumer, when I consume or I will fetch or I will call this function, I don't need to worry about 1,000 lines. I will only call the function name and pass the values and it's going to give me the result. Like how we are passing an input, how we are passing in print, how we have seen upper, lower, capitalizations, titles, max, minimum, count, length. There are many functions we have seen, right? Which we just call. We don't get to see the code inside them, and we leverage the output what they're giving after many operations, many calculations of lines, right? So we are just utilizing in the same way. For our own Python programming, we have to write our own function which can help us for for a prototype kind of things where we just use it and we don't need to worry about performing the same actions. So another way is, you know that you always have to add two numbers, so you will do a plus b equal to c. You know that this is the mathematical formula, this is the logical understanding. You want to fit that particular logical understanding or a business rules into a function. When I say business rules, tomorrow your business rules can say, checks the three inputs from the user. He should be above 18, he should have a driving license, he should be have no criminal records. Then we will give him uh, something that rent a car or something. So that's a validation scenario. Now in function, we know we have to check three things. So we can take three inputs. Inside that, we can write many different lines, and we can call this function by supplying three values. And the end result will tell us when we return, it will tell us whether it is approved or not, right? So it also can treat, it also can behave a component, and it's three simple steps. Use def. This is a definition, defined function, right? So in short, def. Okay. And then add parameter if you have any functions, parameters, right? If any. So it's not mandatory, it's optional, right? If you want to add a plus b, it's fine. If you just want to print your name, you just print your name without passing it, right? So we'll see that also. Write the logic, three steps. Remember these three steps and you are done with the functions. Let's do this. Okay, let's start. I'll say addition, add two numbers. Okay, and then I'll take two numbers, or should I give the same example what I mentioned here? Yeah, I think let's start with the very basic and not to confuse you. I think, yeah, let's do this. Oh, I don't need this. This is much simpler. Why do we configure it? Okay, cool. Now this we call defining a function. That's a function name. That's a syntax we have to follow. That's a single parameter which we'll be supplying. Okay, and that's colon which represents now the function will start and set of lines we are going to write. But we are directly printing here. We are not saying return. We can do return also, but it's optional. If your function does not want to return, you just simply wants to print, then you print it. We will see the return example also. Now how to call that function, you know so I'm going to say print add to no one. Okay, so let's see this. This is we call calling function. This we call defining function. Okay, I'll keep it short. And this is a inside block. Okay, let's see if we get an error or yeah. It says hello, no one, and none. Can somebody tell me why I get this none here? Any guess? Because this function does not return anything. You just need to call this. You don't need a print. Okay. If this returns something, then print makes a sense. If it is return something, okay. Let me show you this. Let me comment that out and let me bring this. Okay, let me execute this now. See, now it does not print anything. It's already saying in this function when we call this, there is a print statement. Why do we need extra print now? Now I'm going to change this. Okay, please see this. Now I'm going to say uh, okay, I'll just say this. Okay, now let's see this. Okay, see, now I'm able to get what I'm passing, but I'm not printing this. This value is going to that function. It's returning that particular name what we are passing, and then we are printing it. In that case, printing makes sense. But in this case, when we are directly having a print inside the function, why do we need printing, right? So remember, when you write returns or you do not write return, right? So it depends how you are defining your functions. Okay, now another simple two variables quickly. Two numbers. Oh, did I already did that? No, right? Mm, return, sorry, return a plus b. Let's see how it works. Now, can I say print a2 5 comma 3? Let's see this. See, it's able to return 8, and I'm printing this. It's returning, and whatever it's getting returned, I'm printing that. Okay, fine. So I hope so far this is very simple way of creating functions. How what simpler than anything can be? If this is on very simple, right? Two lines, three lines, you understood how a functions can do a calculation and perform and actions, how we can call a simple functions, how we define. It's very simple and it's straightforward. Okay, now let's see. So for the complex example, you can see here, okay, let's see. Yeah. So yeah, before we go, let me show you one magical thing from Python offering from what's the time? Okay, we have 10 minutes. Okay. Okay. So let me show you something good. Okay. And you will be surprised. So far, are you guys with me with the simple function definitions and printing that and returning those values? Are you guys okay with this? Just say yes or no. I will welcome all the honest answers. Okay, so only one guy understood out of 28. Then it's very okay. Okay, at least three is good. Okay, okay. Thank you. So thanks who responded. Okay, now once you are ready to understand what is a simple functions and able to return and able to do what, let's see. Let's go limitless. Hmm? Mm, anything possible. Okay, let's see this. The moment I put something like this, okay, now see this. I'll say return. No, I'll print it here only. For I in, okay, just something. Okay, just see first. Let me check whether this is correct. Okay, so I created a function here. Okay, now let me use this. Let me use and check whether this is working or not. See, let me decrease little size and show you. Okay, see here what happened here is we were having a function. The only thing I added is The only thing I did is this particular star symbol. Okay, so the moment I add that particular symbol, I'm inviting n numbers of parameters. I'm inviting n numbers of parameters. Now I have that collection here, whatever comes, and now I'm multiplying. I multiply I. What does it mean? The same item what I'm getting, I'm multiplying with the same square of, right? So you can see this, right? Even though I can do without this also for the more simple example, but this is just to make it, look nice. So when we do like this is how it's going to behave. We can perform like this, you know and we understood, okay, then we are expecting a list kind of thing, a set of values kind of thing, and a multiple parameter kind of thing. So this is nothing but taking a dynamic parameter values and performing that, right? And so sometimes we don't know how much input parameter value we are going to get it, with how many commas, how many values. In that case, can we use this? Yes, we can use this. Okay, so this is additional advanced example. Do not worry if you didn't get it. Just practice, and you will get to know. Okay. Now, local variables and global variables. Let's understand this. So, local variables and global variables is nothing but what we have been doing so far. Few variables we are creating inside the for loop, inside the set of control statements, right? Inside some of set of blocks. So when we create a variable, it's also important the positioning where we are creating. The Wherever we create that particular variable, the scope. When I say scope, I mean the life cycle, the accessibility of that particular variable will be within the range. Suppose we are a human, we born here, and our atmosphere is here, our oxygen, our gravities, everything, pressures, all ecosystem is here. If we'll go to the another planet, we won't survive. So our scope is limited to this planet. Otherwise, we need different uh, suit for whatever we have to go for space, different arrangements to manage that ecosystem, right? But if you go directly, we won't survive. In the same way, variable can't be accessible if you create of a certain particular scope and you are trying to access that variable into the another scope. But there are two types of variables. One is global, another is local variables. So you can simply see the definitions. Now let me simply show you. Oh, okay, I did not put the slides. Okay, no issues. So, okay, let me show you here. Where is my, okay. So, okay, let's do this. Yeah. Global variable, then, and let me put it here. Local variable, 10. So when I refer this variable, this is my local. This is within the function, please see. And this is on the top of everything. So this is we call global. So scope of this function, I can also use this function inside this, or the scope of this function, can I use outside of this function? Can I use this? No, because the moment the function starts and end, the all the variables are there that ends. So scope of this local variable is limited. Okay, so this is what we call global and local. Okay. Okay, so let's not spend more of the time, yeah, on this, because we have function argument. I think that's what the example. It's already here, so that's fine. Yeah, now another anonymous functions. When I just mentioned this in our starting conversation with functions, there are anonymous functions. What are those does not have a names, but they still perform if a type of a functions, a job of a functions, what function can do, they can also do. Why they are created then? The lambda is a very famous uh, set of commands which is getting very famous nowadays in any technology and tools, right? Why? Because we don't need to worry about so many levels of functions creation syntax. In one line you write it, you assign that particular syntax to a variable. Now that variable will behave as a function. You can see on our example 1, we have started with lambda x and y, and after the colon you perform whatever logical operation you want to do with those parameters when the values will be supplied in future, right? So whatever values is supplied in the future, you're going to perform an action, right? So let's do this. Let's try understanding that. Okay. So I'll say, okay. So for x, what I want to do, I want to say x multiply by 2. That's it. Simple. I'll always keep it very simple. Okay. And now I want to call this. So I'll say print, sorry, I'll say print LB. Now this LB becomes my functions. You know, this LB will be treated as a function. So I can pass, as we can pass here x1, one parameter is given here. So I can pass here 4. Let's see. You see, next time if I'll execute, if I'll pass, why it's not working? Okay, so fine. So if I pass 6, then it will multiply by 2 and get me there, right? So you see here, I did not write any function syntax. I did not write definition. I did not say print. I did not say anything. I did not say returns, right? But it's still it worked. So this is what, when you don't want to struggle yourself with the big lines of functions and maintaining a function, remembering its different natures, parameter sequencing, and perform calculation, you simply write a lambda and you perform here whatever parameters you need. Maybe if you need multiple, you use comma, and after the colon you write expressions. So how, let me mimic this in for loop, sorry, because I do many other things, so somewhere I use for each loop. I also do other ETL activities, so my on my tongue it's stuck. So just remember only for works with Python. And yeah, okay, so for loop, let me see how it has to be written. um, so a normal function, sorry, not for. So if it is a normal function, I will say lb, and I'll say x, then I'll say, and then I'll be saying x return, then x multiply x, that's it. And I'll be using this function. How I'll be using like this, print lb. Okay, so that's the difference. You see, 2 lines and 1 line, and much faster results, because for the small calculation and expression we always use this, and for the better modeling programming you use functions. Both are the same. Okay. Okay, so this is much preferred because everybody now use shortcuts, and they don't want to maintain many other things. They will use lambda and be done with it. And another case scenario for using lambda is sometimes few things we just need once or twice. So for those scenario, why to create a functions? Generally functions we do when we have to utilize that component multiple times, maybe more than one at least. Sometimes we know that we are not going to use that particular logical operations, logical conditions, not more than once. Then we'll simply write lambda and we will assign that lambda expression to something. That variable becomes and functions, and we can treat that particular variable as a function. We can supply whatever you have given before the colon, after the lambda you have given here, and after the colon whatever action you performed is going to perform the same action and going to return for you. It's a by default return. This is the input parameter. This is a by default return. Okay, So I hope this gives you some idea. Okay. And there are many other things you can do. Just see example 2 and try doing that. List and tuples. Okay. Now, okay, let me see the time. Oh, we already crossed. Okay, so just give me yes or no for another 5 minutes, or should we stop, or are you good to go for another 5 minutes? Okay, so oh, okay, there's a one no. Uh, Okay, so there are more 90% yes. So I'll go, and those who has to log out, it's okay. You can see the recorded session, and before you log out, those people who are in hurry, there is a free session. Azure session is going to start, and I posted those details in WhatsApp. And please join that group, join that, register yourself, so you won't miss out invite, you won't miss out on study materials. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's say okay. So let's Otherwise, tomorrow it will be tough day if you won't cover tuples today. Okay, so this is a list, and list you already know. So I don't need to explain you different types of list. But what the new thing here is list inside list. You see, the third example says another brackets inside the brackets. So collection inside collections, right? Okay. These are the simple things. This is also empty list we can create like this. Why do we create empty list? We will see. We'll see the purpose. Okay. Okay. So that the type will get created anyway. Yeah. And indexing we already discussed how a list store the data in a storage level, and how does indexing works when we talk to Python, right? It start with 0 and left to right, and right to right it start with the minus, right? Whenever we need a last input we can take -1. Okay. Now these are the methods you can use for list operations. We have used append, we have used count. I think I remember count and append we have used, but there are many other things you can insert on the some specific position. Suppose you have five items in the list and you want to enter one more item, but this item you want to insert on the second positions, on the third position. In that case you can give that positioning and that particular new items. Okay, so these are the function you guys should explore, and you guys should practice. This is your assignment. You should create a list and you should use all of them. Okay, this is very important and very simple, straightforward. The name, whatever names and syntax I have given you, right? So please do this, because list we have already tried many times, so I'm not covering each and every functions here, and not everything cannot be covered in introduction sessions. Okay, and these are the few samples for you for practice. As list we already covered, let's talk on tuples. Yeah, tuples is another concept. It's similar to list. If you remember, I just said instead of a square bracket, you use normal brackets, rounded brackets, whatever you will name that. Now you will see the base core difference is you cannot change once a tuple has a value. This is what actually this mean to be. It cannot be changed. Now when this cannot be changed, can we insert some value to the list? Yes. Can we delete? Yes. Can we replace? Yes. Can we concatenate? Yes. For the tuple, can we concatenate? Yes. So few advantages are there with the list when you want to modify your set of items. Okay, but when you don't need to modify, you just want to play, you just want to sort this out, you want to find something from a given collection, from the given many items, then tuple works faster, because you cannot update modified tuple. You Whenever you go with, now when to use the tuple, when you go with the fixed set of items, you know that okay, I'm not going to modify these, I will go with the fixed set of items and I'll try to perform actions on them, then you take tuples. But if you have to modify, append, remove, insert, or do some operations, then you take list. That's the answer of yesterday's questions. That's the difference between tuple and list. Okay, and definitely it supports different heterogeneous sources as well. So there is no problem. The only thing you have to remember, this is immutable tuples, and list are, you can modify. They are mutable, but tuples are immutable. Okay, tuples and strings both are immutable. Okay, let's see. These are the four things. Okay, so these are the tuple operations we are going to see. We can consider this is not the operation. Yeah, these are the methods. Any, it means uh, when we say used to discover whether an element of a tuple is an iterable. Do we have any item in that? So can we read item through item? So it says any, and there you see here we are passing the tuple collection, tuple variable, whatever tuples we have prepared. For the list, we used to call the methods after the list, right? Here we are passing in any function. Okay, and next count. You want to count whatever the total uh, item inside the tuple you have. You see the advantage here. You are saying tuple referring to cat, and you want to count that out. So you can get it count. You want to get the minimum. What is the minimum? Based on the smallest element, it will give you. Okay. Now another function is max. Whatever the particular string is high in total characters. Let's say 4 star is the 4 characters, so it's going to come. It's a max size among all these three given items. Okay, and length. Length we know. We just want to know how many items we have. In that case, we have to pass pets as a parameter inside the length function. Now you know when I talk parameter, when I talk functions, because we have just created a functions our own today. Now we know what is functions that somebody has written for us, and we are just using it. Okay, so that's covers tuple. Tomorrow we are going to have dictionaries and sets. Okay, so please practice this tuple sets. It's a very straightforward. It's equal to the list, and that's it from my side. And please feel free to join the new course if you are interested for Azure. This will help you in your cloud courses. In today's market, just on a one word, one line, in today's market, if you do anything, any IT work, everything is on the cloud. So it's the time, if you haven't heard, if you haven't experienced how the things went to the cloud, every technology, you have to attend this seminar for 3 hour sessions. And this guy is dealing with healthcare domain from last 11 years. He's dealing with the millions of data on a daily basis, and they are processing millions of data on a daily basis. How much effort it is to deal once a million data a day. After a year, how much data it will be, and to fetch something out of it, right? So in that, big data comes, right? So there will be introductions of big data, uh, of notes in the sense. Yeah, I posted on WhatsApp group about sessions. Or now is the time you guys can go ahead and unmute and ask your doubts. And learning is over. Who wants to drop or log out? That's fine. You can drop out for this.
VJ,
Yeah.
I have the note. I think you posted up to slide 60. The material you covered today, it's not on the slides.
Yeah. So for today's date, I'm going to upload.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
शाम को देख लेना आंटी नहीं तो रहने देना जाओ. Okay, so yeah, so I'm going to upload notebook, I'm going to upload PPT, I'm going to upload recording into the drive. If somebody does not have drive, they can reach out on the WhatsApp. Any other confusion or doubts before we conclude? Okay, then okay, then
Is
we're
there
good.
class for tomorrow or no?
Yes, there will be last session tomorrow for Python. In
Okay.
that session, we'll talk about dictionary class, and we'll deal with the CSV files. We deal with the files. We try to see how to see visualizations and data and graphs little bit. Not everything, but we'll see what are things I can cover for tomorrow. I'll try. I'll give my best shot. Okay,
Sure.
so
Thanks.
yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and thank you for your time and patience. Yeah,
Thank you.
okay, thanks. Bye.